What comes to mind when you think of buffalo? The animal, right? The American bison? Those big-ass animals that roam the West? Well, to Western New Yorkers, buffalo means and this, and especially this. But most importantly, buffalo means
home. But how did this place we call home get its name in the first place?
To answer that question, I spoke to the expert on all things buffalo.
My name is Cynthia Van Ness, Director of the Library and Archives here at the Buffalo History Museum. Been here 15 years. I have a master's degree in library science from UB. Boy, there are people who are like, you can give like an entire hour-long lecture on this.
Buckle in, because this might take a bicentennial to explain. Before we do, let's take a rewind and look back at the history of buffalo.
We were the first to harness electricity from Niagara Falls, being able to transmit it long distances via alternating current. The Thomas Edison versus Tesla Westinghouse battle was over whether electricity was going to be transmitted by direct current or alternating current. It turns out alternating current enables you to transmit it over much longer distances, which is why power from Niagara Falls, which is 25 miles away, able to transmit it to Buffalo and do things like run street lights and streetcars. Interesting Buffalo woman you've never heard of is Winifred Stanley. Went to UB Law School, graduated top of her class in the 1930s, runs for Congress, gets elected, goes to Congress, and in 1943 or 44, she was the first legislator in American history to introduce an equal pay bill. So this is like our Buffalo woman was the first to start advocating for equal pay.
Thanks for telling us why buffalo is important, Cynthia. Now let's get back to the original question. Why was buffalo named Buffalo?
So, lots of competing theories. There are 7 of them. The stolen horse meat basswood, Indian named Buffalo, the animal theory, Beaver Creek theory, and the Beaufleuve theory.
Now, the one thing that all theorists can agree on is that Buffalo is named Buffalo after the Buffalo River.
Have you ever seen a buffalo in Buffalo?
At the Buffalo Zoo, yes. They have them at the zoo, and you can actually see them from Delaware Park through the fence.
Right now I'm standing at the Buffalo Zoo, the only place in Buffalo where you can see living buffalo. Now, the zoo is closed, so it's not going to serve us any good, but this is the zoo.
I've looked at maps indicating their range in North America, and they almost like sort of sometimes came close to what is modern day buffalo, but this was not typically part of their range. If they roamed here, they would have been hunted for food, and their bones would show up in refuse piles.
Now, since no buffalo bones have ever been found in Western New York, that makes this theory way less plausible. But on to the next theory.
Stolen horse meat theory is one of the first to appear in print, which is valuable because sources closer to the event are often more reliable than a source published like 100 years after the event. The problem is the author says that he doesn't even know if it's true. He kind of pulls the story out, and he says it may not even be true, and nobody else really cites it, or there's like no real substantiating evidence for it. So that one, not real plausible.
The story goes that French explorers in the early 18th century were in need of a fancy meal, so they stole a horse from a Seneca tribe and claimed it was bison meat to their guest. Thereafter, the river which they had the meal on went by the name Buffalo Creek. But let me quit horsing around, because this theory is a nay for me.
The Beaver Creek theory that buffalo is a mistranslation of Seneca language words for Beaver Creek. So that one is possible. Another plausible theory is that there was an Indian named Buffalo, so he gets the name based on his appearance, who lived on the banks of the Buffalo Creek. And that is very plausible if you consider that Skagakwaty Creek, right outside our windows here, was named for Philip Conjockaty. I mean, his name gets a little corrupted over the years, but that's a creek named for a person living on its banks. That's my ranking just because of the way other creeks here took their names from Senecas who lived on the banks or in the vicinity thereof. So I think that is very plausible. The basswood theory is again another mistranslation from the Seneca from place of the basswood. At the Treaty of Fort Stanwix in Rome in 1784, the Mohawk interpreter rendered it as buffalo. The Senecas and settlers thereafter used the name buffalo. So that's a maybe, and the last one is the corruption of Beaufleuve. The theory is supposedly a French explorer saw Buffalo Creek and said, Beaufleuve, what a beautiful river. And then the native people liked it, and it becomes corrupted to Buffalo. The problem is the B and F sounds are absent in Iroquois language. And the direction of adoption is in the other way. People, settlers, colonists, explorers adopted words out of Seneca and other Haudenosaunee languages, not the other way around. Cheektowaga, Tonawanda is from Seneca into English and not English into Seneca. The first person to experience Niagara Falls, Father Louis Hennepin, was a priest who travels through North America and wrote some accounts of what he experienced here. So he's the first European to see and describe Niagara Falls. So he would be like one of the obvious candidates that said something like Beaufleuve. If you look at all these French exploration accounts, you can't find any period source of anybody using that to describe anything in the Buffalo area. You can't find someone saying, it's such a beautiful river in French.
So how did Buffalo get its name? Well, it's most likely because of a native man who provided for his community and they named the river after him. But if you want to believe that Buffalo is named after Beaufleuve, the beautiful river, go right ahead. Nobody's 100% certain how Buffalo got its name. Just a bunch of theories. No, not at all. If you don't mind, can I shoot around here?
So here's a group of people with one of the cannons at Front Park. They're sitting on the cannon, and then they're standing on the cannon. Totally cracks me up.